Here.
Here we go. Breakfast with the Boys season 2 is back. Chris Mancuso, Jack Gotzel, Jaguars. We are here. It is Monday morning on the 24th of January, boys. Happy New Year and all that shit. We are back. And right off the hop, we have to go into this. The NFL playoffs have been pretty wild. There was 2 crazy games last night. Let's start it with one of the craziest playoff games I've ever seen. Kansas City Chiefs go on to host the 4th straight AFC championship game in an incredible overtime thriller against the Buffalo Bills. But, what was it? They had 3 touchdowns and a field goal in the final minute and 54 seconds. The Chiefs end up kicking one late and then getting the ball in overtime, and Mahomes to Kelsey, and that's all she wrote. It does suck here though, boys. The NFL needs to fix that overtime.
Well,
this is
first
junk.
of all, death, taxes, and God hates Buffalo. But absolutely, you're right. It's bullshit when you see a guy doesn't even get to touch the football in overtime, and it's the most important guy on your team, the quarterback. They got to switch it to how college does overtime. It should have been done years ago. I can't understand it. It has to be switched.
Yeah, I agree there. That game altogether was a must-see game, just a complete back and forth. You have 2 great arm-throwing quarterbacks, can make decisions on the fly, mobile, and that's what kind of made the game fun in that aspect. But I completely agree with you, Jack. I really wish that they would kind of bring back something like that, because I would have loved to see how the Bills responded. Guaranteed, I think going into OT, they went down someone from defense, so that probably helped KC a little bit. But all around, I mean, jaw-dropping game, and same thing with Bucks Rams. I mean, you had a vintage Tom Brady comeback in the end of that game. And then obviously the Rams kind of come back, and for some reason the Bucks defense decided not to have a safety covering Cooper Kupp, so Cooper Kupp could just make that catch and go in the end zone and finish the game and ice the Bucks. And I don't know, is that going to be Tom Brady's last game? Who knows in that area?
Yeah.
I mean, I could see the Bucks bringing back Brady for one more. It's going to ultimately come down to, does Brady and his family want to keep going? I have a feeling Giselle wouldn't stop him if he wanted to go for one more year.
I think every NFL team would probably bring back Tom Brady. I know in his recent series that he released with ESPN Plus, and I think it was on Hulu too. They were kind of talking about how as he got older, he wanted to be more involved in his kids' lives, so that's why he was skipping the optional workouts and with the team and things like that. So I don't really know what's going on in his kids' lives, but if it's something pretty relevant that he thinks he needs to be there for during the fall season, I could see him stepping away from the game that he loves so much, because he does. He loves his family more than the game from everything I see.
Yeah, Tom Brady, no matter what happens, the greatest quarterback of all time. I got to say, though, that Bills Chiefs game last night, it gave me the old kind of Manning versus Brady feel. I think you're going to see Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen go head to head a lot more. Allen's 25 and Mahomes is 26. These guys have a lot of
and
football.
Don't forget Herbert on the other side. He's still in the playoffs as well for the Chargers.
And Joe Burrow. Let's not forget about Joe Burrow. The young quarterbacks are taking over the NFL now, man. It's that changing of the guard. We're seeing it. And to be honest, whoever goes to the Super Bowl, I'm hoping we get a Rams and Bengals Super Bowl. That's what I'm hoping for.
I'd take that in a heartbeat. Joe Burrow is a stud.
Me too.
I love everything about him. I love him smoking cigars, hitting the gat after the game with all his teammates. The guy just drips everything you need in a quarterback and want to watch in kind of a game there. He's not unlikable in that aspect. Also, you were listing off quarterbacks. Got to bring out my vintage New England. Can't leave my boy Macaroni Jones out of the conversation. Jack, Tua's not in that conversation. Don't want to hear anything from you there, but Mac Jones is also in that
Tua has lost. Like, how many games has Tua actually lost?
Not that many, bro. Not that many. The Dolphins are.
I do love the Joker though too. Mac Jones.
But Joe Burrow, We're going to see what happens. The young quarterbacks are after it, and we'll see. Now we talked about the Bucks, and their season ends short. Did you see Antonio Brown? He put out a meme of himself, like when he was jumping in the
Oh,
sidelines, and it was holding a sign. Buccaneers lost. That's tough.
Buccaneers eliminated.
Yeah,
You see
eliminated.
him
Yeah, that was
doing his
that was
little
tough.
cheerleader pose.
That was very, very tough to see. Antonio Brown, that guy's a maniac, dude. After he
Legitimately.
quit or after he got kicked off the team,
yeah.
whatever even happened on the sideline, he changed the story 13 times and he released like a 6-page like explanation about it. And it was funny. Jack, was it Randy Moss that said like, I don't
I think
know
it might have been
if
like
I'm happy for you or if I'm sad for you because I'm not reading all of this.
it
So
was like either I'm happy for you or I'm sorry that happened to you, but I ain't reading all that.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and that was the perfect way to put it. That guy's cracked. I saw him on the Full Send podcast, and then you see him hanging out with like Kanye West and Madonna, and like just the weirdest people ever that could be hanging out. Which makes me think maybe Venti's right about like there being some sort of like reptilian society. Because like, why would all those people be together? That's like the weirdest group of people ever, man.
It's very diverse. I want to bring it back to that Full Send podcast too. I don't know if you listen to it at all, and I'm not gonna like shame any of the Full Send Nelk boys here, but they were completely agreeing with every single thing that AB was saying. AB would sit there and go, "Hey, who is the best receiver on the Bucks?" Big awkward pause, and then everyone would go, "It's you,
They're all like
AB. It's
AB,
you. It's
it's
you." Yeah,
AB.
it's like it's not you, AB. You're a great receiver, but you still got Evans. At that time, Godwin didn't tear his ACL. He was still
Yep.
one of the best receivers in the game. Available for
AB
Tom
was the
Brady.
third.
AB was
Yeah,
the number
Goodwin,
3. Yeah,
Evans definitely was third,
so that
and
was
then
like the biggest thing I took from that podcast was they just kept unwillingly agreeing with AB on every single thing they said. AB could have been like, "Yeah, I'm mentally healthy," and then they would have been like, "Yeah, you're totally right, AB. You're
you
good."
know, the best is when he tried to make it like I don't know if he tried to put a little race card spin on it or something, but he said something like, well, bro, if I'm Brady's boy, why am I on a prove it deal? Gronk's his boy. Is he on a prove it deal? It's
Yeah.
like, do you understand, you maniac, how you like what you did last year with the Raiders and then filming like the physical confrontations with your baby mama and like calling the police bitch ass N words and hurling slurs and everything at them. Like, does he not remember just
He
the
doesn't remember
madness?
any of it.
Like he
No,
does.
there's
It's
no
like
way
he
he
doesn't
possibly
remember
can
any of it.
because he has no
And
idea why he's on a prove it deal.
yeah, he
And
like, what do you mean you don't understand why you're on a prove it deal? I was shocked that that the Bucks brought him there and Tom
yeah.
Brady brought him there. And then the only guy who was batting for him, he goes, "Oh, what's that about?
Yeah.
Gronk got paid." It was like he was insinuating there was something there, and it
Yeah.
was like, buddy, like, listen,
Gronk got paid. He's like, "You think Tom likes me? No, he just knows I'm a good receiver and he wants me." He's like,
yeah.
Does
"That's the
another
only
team
thing I
give him
have
another
there."
opportunity?
Yes, it's the NFL.
I
Yeah.
don't think so. I think he's done.
I think the opportunity will be there. It's just like which NFL team has the balls to take him up on that. But he still wants to play.
It would have
So
to be
that's what it
someone
comes
with a
down to.
real strong coach, man. You'd have to be a real strong coach. You'd have to be a heavyweight coach to handle Antonio Brown. And speaking of heavyweights, guys, UFC 270 went down this weekend. Heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou retained the UFC heavyweight championship on the last fight of his deal over Cyril Gane. Jack, guy goes in there, fights with a torn MCL, loses the first 2 rounds, which was expected. I knew Gane was going to get on him. What I didn't expect was Francis to win that fight on the back of his
Yeah.
wrestling. That was insane. If you're Dana White in the UFC, I know the money in everything is so far, and maybe I know Francis wants assurances that he can go and try himself at the world at the sport of boxing. He came over from Cameroon and escaped to pursue a career in boxing. He didn't want to be an MMA. That said, when you're that big and you have the knockout power of Francis Ngannou and you start putting a wrestling game together, that could become one of the most, I mean, in my opinion, it makes him the baddest motherfucker on the planet. If he can use all that strength and then tie in some good wrestling.
I mean, the two of us shouldn't really be surprised. Jake had
No,
been telling us this for some time that Francis wrestling was not only improving, but it was real legit and like world class. And
yeah,
Francis just put it on display and showed the entire world how good his wrestling is. But you are right bringing up the point that Francis did not come over, and his dream in the sand mines was never to be the UFC heavyweight champion. It was always to be a boxing world champion. I think it would be stupid for him not to try to test himself and see what he can do with the success he's had in the UFC. He was a boxer first. He's going to try boxing. I think maybe this is the right time. He'll have the UFC to step back to if he fails, or mixed martial arts in general. There's other great promotions out there
Of course.
that don't have Dana White in them. If those two can't get along, there's always one championship. There is
Well,
Bellator.
but one championship is interesting for Francis Ngannou, Jack. When I think about it and I look at the hat on your head, it's like they have MMA, they have kickboxing, they have all
Muay Thai.
they have Muay Thai, they have all of these different combat sports. They pay good. You wonder if maybe listen, Francis. You've seen Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King. Everyone knows that I put the Gypsy King. I think he is the gold standard of boxers. He's trying to get Francis over into the world. I think that would be a mistake for Francis to take on Fury right away, but I think he could start pretty high up the pecking order in boxing because he's a damn good, I mean, he's a damn strong guy. You give him now in his UFC contract, Ngannou has essentially when you finish your last fight in the UFC, you have to fight one more time, or after a year from when the contract was signed, like the last the last month of it, you go to that point of the year, which I think is in December for him, and then it's terminated. Like he
Well,
either has to fight one
that's
more time.
Francis' contract in particular because that was the clause in there, and
Right.
he was
It's
the
a clause
champion.
that they have a championship clause in most of their championship fights that kind of have that protection. That said, Francis Ngannou seems very willing to just take the rest of the year off, get better at boxing, and come back in 2023 and possibly have a beginning of the year fight with Tyson Fury. I think that would be a
I would
mistake.
hate to see that off the rip. I actually think Francis has a really good shot at boxing. I think it would be stupid to rush him right into Tyson Fury when you have
You,
Luis
but
Ortiz there, a very big name
Very
and a
good.
very hittable heavyweight that I think would be a great matchup for Francis Ngannou to first go over in that sport, and then you can build him up even bigger if he does win that one. It just makes the fight even bigger.
You'd hate to see it though because the matchup's not fair, but you can't say you wouldn't tune into that fight as
Of
soon as
course.
it came on. I
Of
mean,
course.
I think you mentioned earlier, Jack, you said it'd be stupid if he didn't. You're right. It'd be stupid if he didn't do anything. I mean, right now he has the world in his hands. This guy is a certified beast and can do anything that he set his mind to. And he
Yep.
knows that whatever he does, he's going to bring viewers to, kind of very similar to how Jake Paul does anything that he sets his hands on right now. Jake Paul could, right now he has the boxing worlds in the palm of his hands. He's boxing former NBA players, he's boxing former UFC fighters, he's boxing everyone. And then if he switches to MMA, damn well we're all going to chime into that too and start talking about
Absolutely.
him there
Yeah, but
too.
the difference is, does Francis want the payday or does he want to be a world champion in boxing? Because if he wants to be a world champion in boxing, he shouldn't just jump right into a fight with Tyson Fury. And he should take a Luis Ortiz or an Andy Ruiz or
Yeah.
somebody like that that's not at the very height of the pinnacle, but is still at the pinnacle and would still do massive pay-per-view numbers.
Yeah. I
Man,
mean, money talks at the end of the day. That's how
yeah,
I see
money
it.
money talks and bullshit takes the bus, obviously.
Yeah.
But listen, I just lick my chops at the fact of, and I don't think it should be his first fight, but fight 2 or 3, Deontay Wilder, the Bronze Bomber, and Francis Ngannou, like
Oh,
that's a fight right there. Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou, that's a fight right there. I like you said, Jack. I think Ruiz, someone like that for the first fight though, is really smart.
I like Luis Ortiz even better.
That
Luis
said,
Ortiz is my first choice.
Ngannou was fighting for $600,000. The heavyweight champion of the biggest MMA organization was fighting for $600,000. If he fights Tyson Fury, he's probably making 25 to 30 million.
easy.
Yeah.
Easy. I didn't know
Easily
that
making that
600K
kind of
mark. I
money.
feel
So
bad.
it's easy for us to sit here and go, well, we'd like to see Francis do that, but he could 40 times his pay in one
Yes, but if
fight.
he's fighting Ruiz or Lewis, he's
He's still
still
going to make
fighting for what,
millions.
15, 20 million.
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
is
he's probably fighting for 10, 15 million if he fights one of those guys, which is still an insane amount of money. He should do that. I'm with you on that. He should do that. I want to talk about some antics though. Dana White doesn't go into the octagon, doesn't put the title on him, and then doesn't show up to the press conference after. You know, we just brought up Jake Paul. I hate to see Dana be such a coward. Like, just put the belt on him, show up and do it. Like, all it did was fuel Jake Paul. He's all over him on Twitter yesterday, giving him the gears about the money. And he doesn't show up to the press conference. That was a bad look, boys.
Yeah, and why not just be the bigger man and, admit that Francis won this round, and just be the bigger person, put the belt
Don
on
was
it. It's
supposed
a
to be the
special
guy to
moment.
take the torch. He wanted to say, "Look, we don't need you," and he can't say that. They're going to have their champion potentially just take off with a belt. He hates people when they do that. They brought back St. Pierre to fight Bisping on a deal. They made him sign a 2-fight deal. George said, "Okay, but I'm only fighting one fight." The belt retired. Dana hates him for it. He hates when guys do that. It'll be interesting to see how that happens. But the Jake Paul versus Dana White thing has really become a focal point of the Jake Paul career. And I know Jack hates talking about this kid, but when we're talking about a kid who was the highest grossing athlete under 25 years old last year at $40 million boxing, you need to talk about this kid. He's got the, like Jay said, whether you like him or not, if you like him, you're watching because he's entertaining. He's got that fucking stupid robot he dances with. His crew's like basically like rolls with the Backstreet Boys behind him. He's got his team. He's got it all. And then if you hate him, it's like you're always watching with that hopes that he gets his head taken off. So he's become a guy to really watch. But what I will say he's had a positive impact on is looking like he's trying really hard to put the microscope on Dana White for how the fighters have been paid, which Jack, you covered the MMA long enough now to know that that's been a problem and a topic between these guys for years and years. But it's taken someone like Jake Paul, who I don't even think he came into the fight game looking to do this. I think that's bullshit. I think he just figured it out while he was there and realized he had a big enough voice to stir the pot. But it's really come under the microscope. Last night's UFC 270 total for the entire card, they paid out 1.8 million in purses total for the entire
wow.
card.
Francis
1.8
didn't even get a
million.
win bonus.
What?
Francis did not have a win
No, dude,
bonus.
these guys, when they make over 500,000, you get flat feed there, bro. So it's like, you know,
So
I worry for Dana. I think Jake Paul could be the guy that gets a union, gets an organization. He has real estate billionaires who back him, just like Dana had with the Fertitas. He always says, if you think you can do this better than us and you can afford to do it better than us, fucking do it. This kid keeps making $40 million a year boxing and the backing that he has, man. This kid might come in and fuck up the whole MMA thing, get a union, get an organization, and he's cool enough culturally to the younger, the Sugar Sean O'Malley's, the big young buzz guys. If they get paid the right money, man, like money talks these days, and I don't think it would be hard to start to draw some guys away. And I think that's why Dana White doesn't show up to the press conference last night, and I think that's why he fucking hates Francis Ngannou.
I was gonna say, you guys know this better than me, but like, what's your actual opinions? If they only paid out that much for a UFC event and obviously had a bunch of eyes on it, why do fighters keep going to UFC when they could go probably somewhere else and get paid a lot more?
It's the
Because they
exposure
want to test themselves against the best in the world. They want to
and
be the
exposure.
best. There's the exposure, the notoriety. You're fighting the elite of the elite. You're fighting the best guy. But then you look over at one championship and you see a bunch of these UFC guys go over to one championship and lose. So how much of that is just perceptions? And
Yeah.
one treats
It's
their fighters
it's
much better.
westernized perception. Like there's guys in one championship that you couldn't even pronounce the name of if we put them on the screen right now. And a number 6, 7 ranked UFC guy versus one of them. Like I'll take fucking like Okre Yoon against like a number 6, 7. Like, if he went in and had to fight Tony Ferguson, like he'll fucking kill him. Like, like a lot of these guys, Conor McGregor, I think Conor McGregor would lose to that Okre Yoon guy. So who knows, man?
I'm not willing to go that far. I think
I
Christian Wade might be able to beat McGregor.
Well, Okre Yoon beat Christian Lee, so who knows?
Oh,
MMA math.
let's not
MMA
kill
math.
me now.
It's wild, man. It's wild. Speaking of wild men, we're going to take this out of sports and go right into the culture here. No one is more 2022 culture than Kanye West. Well, it doesn't matter, man. Everybody loves Kanye. He has been wild and from, hanging out with his new sweetheart there, Julia Fox. He's been really pumping her hard in the public since Kim Kardashian came out. That it came out that she's with Pete Davidson, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. But last weekend, Kanye West was on his way out of the airport, and he went on Instagram Live. He wasn't invited to his daughter's birthday party. Chicago, they were doing a joint birthday party with Travis Scott and Kylie's kid Stormy, and Kanye came out and blasted them. He couldn't get the address. And sure enough, I guess Travis Scott ended up giving it to him. But then it's just been like a run of insane behavior even before that. Like I mentioned, hanging out with Antonio Brown. Some guy was like autograph hawking him and got up in his face, and Kanye hit him. He's being investigated for battery, and it doesn't seem like he's done wanting to commit battery, because in his latest single, there's a line where it says, God made sure I survived that crash just so I could beat Pete Davidson's ass. He is not happy that Pete Davidson is with Kim, which is funny because he's just like flaunting the new girl.
Time out. Can someone explain this to me? I've seen Pete Davidson. I've seen his comedy. I've seen what the guy looks like. Would someone tell me how he's getting with all of these women?
He must have a huge hog.
Yeah, that's the only valid reason.
He
I
must have a massive hog. There's no way he doesn't.
I don't think he's. I've seen his comedy. I really don't think he's funny. I try to watch SNL, but I don't think SNL's funny, and I specifically don't think Pete Davidson's funny. It's all pretty cringy watching what he does. I mean, maybe outside of that, obviously he has a huge hog, but maybe he's secretly funny outside of when cameras are on him. It's the only logical
Yeah, he,
reason
No
kinda
way. He's just got
behind
that
it.
he
massive
must be
penis.
really nice or something, because he was
Yeah,
but you know what? First he's like the first guy to date Ariana Grande after Mac Miller dies. Then he takes Kanye's girl right after. Like,
track record.
is he trying to be like the most unlikable fucking guy in the
He's
world?
doing it. He's
Just call
doing
him
it.
the janitor. He's going in and he's cleaning everything up. That's
Oh,
all he
buddy,
does.
he's putting in garbage goals all over the
Yeah,
place, hitting those rebounds in, fucking hitting the rebound. Like, dude, he has more rebounds than fucking Magic Johnson, I think, this guy.
easily. And I don't want to give him like the spotlight here too, because obviously you got Yee going after him in every aspect there. And Kanye is another guy where I don't, understand kind of what's going on. When you're kind of watching pop culture and everything, you see Kim and Kanye are splitting up, and then obviously like within hours, boom, all of a sudden you have Kim with Pete, but then you got Kanye with what's her name, Julia Fox. Going out to dinner in Florida, then coming to New York and going to doing something here, and he's pretty open about their relationship and nothing
Right,
about
so
it.
it's like,
And
why
then
is he so mad
why is he
about
mad?
Kim and Pete? It's like, dude, in my opinion, you got Kanye and you got Kim, right? They're
Yeah,
elite, top, good-looking people, powerful money people. Kim's with Pete Davidson, you're with Julia Fox. Like, Kanye's winning.
yeah,
Like the
he's
one thing that I will say is that all the outbursts and stuff that he's had, the only thing Kim has done is on the days that he done that is released pictures of her in slutty clothing instead, because she knows
sly dog.
that
I,
he
I
will.
would I would say bikini photos.
And well, whatever you want to call them. Listen, she's smart. She knows that Kanye will unravel himself if she just doesn't say anything in public. He will unravel. That's where Kanye needs to be. He needs a little of that mental toughness a little bit here. Like, buddy, you're winning. Like, dribble the ball, just dribble it out. Stop going to try to still hit slam dunks, or else he's going to end up getting dumped by Julia Fox, who, like, I don't know, in some people's opinions, could even be an upgrade over Kim K if you're not into the whole fake thing. I mean, Julia
How
Fox is a good looking girl.
how is he still with Julia Fox? And still um, buying a house supposedly like next to Kim K's property that she just bought, and then he does a concert, a secret concert with Drake. Whatever happened there, and he there's a shout out of Kim there as well. Like how when you're in Julia Fox's realm, you're sitting beside that and being like, yeah, that's cool. The guy I'm with now is still like completely obsessed over his wife, ex-wife, whatever they are.
Yeah, I think the fact that he's the head of Yeezys and the $1 billion probably helps her kind of get over
That
that
definitely helps.
Yeah.
a little bit. Probably has a little bit of emotional healing for her, you know.
And
Then
he's
you
still
got
making
Tom.
moves too with Yeezy. Like I just saw he did a Gap thing with I forget the designer, and then he just did a most recent one too, where he's gonna probably collab with Jordan. So
Oh
he's
my
got
god,
like
yeah.
obviously his whole fucked up personal life, but he's also managing Yeezy to the top extent, producing with every top liner he possibly can. I mean, the guy. I think we had this one of our past podcast episodes. I still think he's a secret genius,
He is.
totally based
Yep.
from the podcast he did with Joe Rogan. When I drove cross country with John, I listened to that. Still think he's a secret genius from that.
Oh, he is. He is. Obviously, you don't get to that kind of wealth and that kind of status and power without having some brains behind it.
Well,
And
there are some nice, wholesome, like, Hollywood romances though that are regular. They still do regular people stuff like drink each other's blood. Megan Fox and MGK.
yeah, they got engaged. Those two are a really weird couple. MGK, not my favorite. Not my favorite. That guy. I don't think I would like that guy personally if I
He
ever
is
met
weed.
him. But yeah, I mean, good for him. I mean, he's engaged to Megan Fox again. Another thing where you just look and you're like, listen, this guy goes into a rap battle against Eminem. In my opinion, wins the battle, but you're never gonna win the in the court of public perception. So he starts going to his rap concerts, and all his fans were old Eminem fans, so they're booing him. He just comes out and releases a rock album with Travis Barker, picks up Megan
Joke.
Fox, and now he's getting married. Like, talk about the fucking
Comeback.
one huge 180 there to come from like almost like being in the mud to coming out fucking smelling like roses.
In that
Just
pop punk album, really good. Highly
Yeah,
recommend.
yeah, I
yeah.
I
I
don't
think
think
my
you should
downfall
sleep
was
on
pretty
MGK.
decent.
I'd say don't sleep on him. I actually liked MGK too before he did rock. Like I thought what he was doing before leading up to his Eminem battle was pretty good. But then when he looped in with Travis Barker, right? He killed it. And then he looped
Yeah,
in Jaden too. He recently did a tour with Jaden. Jaden was one of my top artists listening to on Spodcast. So shout out to you. It's one
yeah.
of Johnny's boys. But I also give him super props. MGK is living every boys fantasy from 15 years ago because Megan Fox was just the top of the top at one point in time. So good for you. I
He even
kind of
has her like I don't want to use, I don't know what the proper word is, but like I saw some interview and she's like, yeah, he just told me I had to be naked tonight and I'll do whatever daddy says.
yeah,
Like he has her
daddy.
like
Yeah,
fucking he has her fucking acting the way he wants her to too. MGK, man, he's pulling out miracles here. This guy. Speaking of miracles, Lana Rhoades, everybody knows she's a miracle in the content industry,
industry.
and brought a little miracle of life to the world. She had a baby. Obviously, she used to be with Mike from the Impulsive podcast, and that
Yep.
that was a whole thing. And they split up, and then she's pregnant pretty quick. Now she said that on a podcast, I believe that it's with a member of the Brooklyn Nets. Is it Blake Griffin? Speaking of former Kardashians, all these people are all webbed in together
Yep.
because you got
Well, if the baby
MG.
sees a globe and starts crying right away, it's Kyrie's kid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because if it's
'Cause-
not flat, it's wrong.
yeah. I wonder who it is, and I wonder if it'll come out soon between Blake, Kyrie. God, I hope it's not Kyrie's. Kevin Durant was another huge one, huge name in that mix. But we'll see. I mean,
It almost
I've
feels like you're playing a game of like Lana Rhoades Clue. Remember the game
yeah,
Clue? It's like I got Blake Griffin doggy style in the bathroom. It's like, nope, not right. I got
trade. We got to
Kyrie
trademark that
Irving
right here.
in the locker room at the Flat Earthers convention,
I've
with
always wondered this: when you're a porn star or adult entertainment star's kid, like at what age do you like start to click? So obviously Lana Rhoades' kid, and I'm not shaming you, Lana Rhoades. Like shout out to you, but like Kim Kardashian's kid, like what's the age you think that kids turn? And then you're like, oh my fucking god, this is my mom.
yeah, dude. I
Oh,
mean, it's fucking scary, dude. That's why, like, I'm a big believer in watch how much of your body you put on the internet and like that capacity. I mean, if it's like a bikini photo, or as
Yeah,
I referred to it earlier, a slutty photo, that's one thing. But you know, maybe think about if you're gonna have family in the future, Careful where your fuck flicks end up.
Yeah. That's
Care about those gangbang videos.
I feel bad, like, that's where my mind goes right away, but it's, like, it's tough when you're growing up as a kid, like, everything affects you growing up, so, like, these
And then
kids
other
are all
kids
gonna
can Google who your parents are, and they're
Yeah,
gonna be like,
I
"Yo,
always
I watched your mom with
fucking
Ray J.
think,
That
yeah,
guy's a fucking C-list
yeah,
celebrity. That sucks." Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like,
you
"Oh,
know, you
your mom
couldn't have
had."
at least put out a video with Kanye. Like, I'd get that. I'd be like, "Yeah, my dad was a fucking king. Of course she did that." Ray J? Like, if you're Kim Kardashian, Ray J?
Yeah, the kids
Dude,
comes home and they're like, "Ma, why does everyone at school keep calling me, like, Eiffel Tower? Like, why do they keep saying that?" And then having that conversation with your kid, it's like, what goes on there? You know, it's like, "Oh, geez, you ready? Let's sit down. Let's have this conversation. Let's do a step-by-step play of the video and how it ended up this way, and then, like, the money I made at the end." Maybe
that's
that.
gonna be the name of, Pete Davidson and Kim
Yeah,
Kardashian's next kid. There's will be Chicago and whatever the else,
yeah,
fucking North and whatever weird, and then Eiffel Tower.
yeah, it's like, these are the
Eiffel.
questions that go through my brain.
Eiffel Tower, he says. Mom, why is everyone calling you Eiffel Tower? That's a hilarious. That's an awesome mashup there, man. Speaking of mashups, KSI and Logan Paul, they were rivals. They boxed a couple times. KSI won twice, got credit for one. Um,
Yeah.
they dropped a new drink called Prime Hydration. It looks like they decided to just squash the beef and cash in more money together. I like both of those guys. Logan Paul's pretty decent guy. With age now, he seems like he's got his shit together, not like filming people in Suicide Forest or anything anymore. And then KSI is funny. He's a good Brit. I think he's funny. You know, these guys and their NFTs and this, like everything's about money to this generation, man. Like you brought up Kanye and Drake doing a secret concert together. It's like you could smash a dude's wife, like everyone kind of assumes Drake did. And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter though if there's money to be made at the end. People will just do this and go make the fucking money nowadays. It's crazy to see because when I was growing up, there was like, you know, I was a little young for it, but it was definitely going on. And I had an older brother. There was like the Biggie and Tupac and a lot of like hatred. And those guys would have never done anything
Snoop.
together, no matter how much money there was. And now guys are just like, you know,
That's yeah, it's all ended now.
put out a drink, and then fuck them with some
Yeah.
NFTs. You know what I mean?
Fucking with some NFTs.
Fucking with
Fuck 'em.
NFTs, you know, try to buy some Pokemon cards, get screwed there.
Oh,
That's the life
yeah.
they live, man.
Logan Paul bought a $3.5 million first edition sealed box of Pokemon cards. He wasn't even going to open it. Then he said, fuck it. We're going to pull it. We're going to pull it for the content. We're going to pull them. Wasn't it like GI Joe card? Like he got
Yep.
ripped off $3.5 million. I'm gonna follow that because like that's a lot of money, and
Fucked.
obviously he would have had to wire the money somewhere or something. I imagine he didn't pay $3.5 million cash. I would fucking hope not.
No.
But that's a tough one, man. 3.5 million on Pokemon cards lost.
I don't even like buying a bag of chips for $1 and it ended up being like 95% air, and I end up
Right?
with 5 chips, let alone that much money for Pokemon cards that aren't Pokemon cards. And then come to find out, you know, I'm reading all these things. You know, he bought it on eBay. The seller wasn't verified. They only did a couple sells in the past, and it's like, was nothing looked into, or is this all like an elaborate scheme to somehow come back to NFTs, which I've heard about too, somehow in one way or the other, or it could go back to his drink. You know, either way, good for him. It got him a lot of exposure, kind of from that
Oh, you think this
stupid
could have
stuff.
been set up to drum his name up in the news and then
That's
boom, fuck him with some energy drinks and NFT or some
my
bottles and
venti
some NFT.
conspiracy there. All right, I'll
I
throw
I
that
don't
out
think that's
now.
far off.
I don't think it's far off either. And if anyone has $3.5 million to waste on marketing, it's Logan Paul and Jake Paul. Those kids have a lot of fucking money, man.
Yeah.
Especially Logan. Logan's got tons of money.
I wonder how much that is worth, like for the common man. Like, is that me spending like $5 or like the extra dollar for guacamole in my Chipotle bowl? Like, is that what it is comparative
Yeah,
to them, or
yeah, it's about that. Yeah, they got fucking
really
tons.
makes me feel like more like shit about myself then? Because I mean,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah,
lot of
learning
money.
how to navigate in the internet times, man. That's what everyone needs to try to figure out. It's like we were sitting here before we went on talking about the goddamn digital real estate in the metaverse.
Mhm.
Like, I fucking, it's wild, man, but it's coming. That's the way the world is. Jack hates it. Jack's like, fuck this stupid shit. Jack will love our next topic. Speaking of stupid shit, the Island Boys back in the news. TikTok star Bryce Hall, didn't perform up to par against Austin McBroom in his first boxing match. Starting to be talks that Bryce though might box one of the Island Boys.
I'm an island boy.
I'm just trying to make it.
I'm glad that we had that queued up.
Listen,
Yeah.
Bryce is the best 0-1 boxer out there. If these guys really think they can get into the ring with Bryce, they have another thing coming to them.
Now, would he be fighting both of them at the same time?
No, it's not going to be a 2-on-1 WWE WWF match.
I would
It's-
fight both of those guys at the same time.
I
They're
want to see
tiny.
Bryce fight both the Island Boys. At the
That'd
same
be even funner, honestly. If Bryce and the Island Boys were to sync up with the WWE and do a tag team event, that'd be pretty fun to watch.
I would love to hit one of those kids in the head with a steel chair
Oh,
and then just
yeah.
get up on the top ropes and hit a fucking Macho Man Randy Savage elbow drop.
Yeah. Take the corner buckle off. Maybe like Luke Bin, one of the Hardy Boys, set up a ladder and just come flying down on them.
I would fuck with that for sure, man. But
I'd probably end up healing you though and coming in and defending the Island Boys.
Oh my God.
I'm a big Nate Diaz guy. Gotta defend the Island Boys.
Yeah, you remember how at the Jake Paul fight, Nate Diaz flinched at that guy and his beer went all over the place? So earlier in the night, that guy had his friend filming and tried to start a fight with the Island Boys. And he was like, he almost caused a huge fight with them. And Nate Diaz and Jake and all of them were at the fight watching Chris Avila box before Jake Paul's fight, which I thought was pretty funny. That upset Jake big time too. That Nate left. He wanted him to watch that, but he flinches buddy because of that. That's why he actually flinched that guy and started the beer, because he was picking on the Island Boys. And Nate Diaz was like, fucking leave those two little dorks alone, man. Like, you're an actual professional fighter. It doesn't matter that the guy's record is like 2-6 or whatever. You can't be trying to beat up the Island Boys. Like, they're 100 pounds soaking wet a piece.
Yeah. I
How
don't know
funny
why
is that?
guys are
I didn't have
flexing.
that on my 2022 bingo calendar. I didn't have that on my bingo card that Nate Diaz would defend the Island Boys.
Well, I want to see Bryce fight the Island Boys for sure, though. I'm down.
Yeah,
I'm down
I
to
would
watch
be
the
down.
Island Boys step in a boxing ring.
Yeah, hopefully he'd actually, get paid after that event. But
Austin McBroom. Yikes. I heard Austin McBroom is it true that he's pulled shady shit like that before?
That's what all the reports say. I don't personally know, but this definitely isn't a big thing to look out for him. Like, he didn't pay his fight. He has a lot of guaranteed money out there that he didn't end up paying and was trying to skirt around the bush. And I don't know where he is at with that, but I haven't heard his name in a long time. Kind of a coincidence there.
So Bryce didn't get his full money.
No, not that I know of. He didn't get his full money. I'm assuming this would be
You're
set up
supposed to get like $5 million for that or some shit.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
guaranteed. Just for stepping foot in the ring and an extra mil for a knockout.
I would fight Mike Tyson for $5 million.
Oh, I'd get knocked out by Mike Tyson in a heartbeat for $5 million.
I can't imagine. No wonder he jumped at the opportunity, even though he lost. It's like, who cares, dude? $5 million. I would.
Life-changing money. That is life-changing money.
Dude, I don't care. There's no moral ground to anything that I would do for a $5 million fight. It could be Mike Tyson. It could be a local nun or something. It doesn't matter. I'd hit her with a right cross.
Johnny Sins. Would you cross Johnny Sins' path for $5 million?
Well, as long as he doesn't hit me with his hammer.
Yeah. The negotiations begin.
Mancuso versus Sins.
Yeah.
I'm in 2022, guys. Make sure you hit subscribe on the Tarps Off Sports channel below. Leave a like, leave a comment.